I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am, trying to process everything that's happened. My name's Jason, and I was married to Amanda for about 5 years. We had a decent life, good job, a nice house, friends, family. Nothing extraordinary, but I thought we were solid. That is, until I started noticing stuff that just didn't sit right. It all began a few weeks ago when Amanda said she had to go on a secret business trip. She was pretty secretive about it, kept her phone closed, would disappear for hours on end, and when I asked what she was doing, she'd brush me off, get defensive. She claimed it was just a quick trip, some meetings in Chicago. She told me to trust her, that she needed this space and that it was just work. I wanted to believe her. I mean, she's my wife and I trusted her with my life. But the gut feeling was gnawing at me. Then little things started showing up. Her phone started acting weird. She'd delete texts right in front of me, change her passwords and hide her social media. Never outright suspicious, but enough to make me question what was going on. I tried to ignore it, told myself I was paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Plus, her attitude towards me changed. She was colder, more dismissive, like she was just going through the motions of being married. One day, I was home early from work because I wasn't feeling great, and I decided to do a little snooping, nothing crazy, just a quick glance at her phone maybe. That's when I found it. An entire string of messages between her and this guy, Mark, our best man from the wedding. They were talking about meeting up, about sex, about lies she was telling me. I couldn't believe it. All those little lies she'd been spinning about her trip, they were about him. I felt like my world was crashing down. I remember reading the messages over and over, feeling sick. They had plans to meet the night before her supposed trip, and she was excited about it. She called him her escape, her secret, and even joked about how she'd tell me she was working late while she was actually with him. I couldn't believe how much she'd lied. That was the moment I knew I was being played. But the worst part, I still hadn't seen her with my own eyes. I needed proof. I needed to see her, confront her face to face. I knew there'd be a fallout either way, but I couldn't keep living in this illusion. I decided I'd wait till she came home, then I'd get answers. Little did I know, what I was about to find out would shatter everything I thought I knew about my marriage, about Amanda. It was going to change everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd uncovered. The lies, the messages, the betrayal, it all felt like a punch to the gut. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. Amanda was supposed to be my partner, my best friend, the one I trusted with everything. And yet here I was, discovering she'd been sneaking around behind my back with Mark, our supposed best man. No less. The next morning, I decided I needed to see her face, confront her in person. I told her I was taking the day off work. She looked surprised but didn't protest much. I knew something was off, but I kept my cool. We met in the kitchen and she was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me, rolling her eyes. I could see the defiance in her eyes, the way she tried to act like everything was normal, like I was overreacting. "Why are you acting so suspicious lately, Jason? I've been working my ass off and you're grilling me about every little thing," she spat, crossing her arms. "Because I found your messages, Amanda," I said calmly, trying to keep my voice steady. "You lied to me about your trip, you lied about where you were, and I know about Mark." Her face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, come on, you're overthinking this. Those messages don't mean anything, we're just friends. Maybe I was venting, okay? You have no idea what I go through with your controlling ass." That was classic Amanda, blame shifting, denying, turning everything around. I felt my anger rising, but I kept my voice even. "I saw the messages, Amanda. You were planning to meet him the night before your trip. You were excited about it. How could you lie to my face?" She rolled her eyes. "It's none of your business. I was just talking to him. It doesn't mean I was cheating. Maybe I needed someone to talk to. You're just paranoid." I could feel my blood boiling. "You've been lying for weeks, maybe longer. You're not the person I thought I married. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Do you think I'd never see through your lies?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "You're crazy. You're overreacting because you're insecure. Maybe I should just leave you, Jason. God knows I deserve better than someone who doesn't trust me." That was the moment I realized I was dealing with someone who had no remorse, no shame. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, it all made me sick. But I knew I had to get more proof, more than just her words. I needed to see her with my own eyes. I had to catch her in the act. I couldn't live in this state of betrayal and uncertainty anymore. I left the kitchen, feeling a mix of rage, heartbreak, and shame. I had no idea what I was going to do next, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending. Everything was okay. Not anymore. That afternoon, I started planning my next move. I couldn't just confront her again and hope for honesty. I needed definitive proof. I remembered that I'd seen her recent messages on her phone, and I knew she'd be careful, but I had one ace up my sleeve. A few days earlier, I had hidden a small recording device in her purse, just in case she tried to lie her way out of it again. I didn't want to play dirty, but I was losing my mind trying to hold on to any shred of trust left. Later that evening, Amanda went out for her book club meeting. I was waiting for her in our bedroom, heart pounding, hands trembling. I turned on the recorder, quiet and discreet, and waited. I told myself I was just doing this to get some peace of mind, but deep down, I knew it was about catching her in the act, seeing her real face when she thought she was alone with Mark. Within minutes, I heard footsteps approaching. The door opened, and there she was, strutting into the bedroom, looking smug, confident. She threw her purse onto the chair, then stretched out, like she owned the place. I watched her, trying to keep my composure as the recorder captured every word. "Hey babe," she said, voice deliberately low and sultry. "Did you miss me?" My stomach clenched. I was ready for this. I pressed record and kept quiet. "I missed you," Mark replied, his voice just as smooth. "It's been too long." Then I heard her footsteps approaching the bed. The next thing I knew, she was climbing under the sheets, stripping down, and I heard the unmistakable sounds of sex. Her moans, the way she whispered his name, completely unfiltered, raw. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Her voice, her body language, so different from the bitchy, dismissive wife I'd known. This was her in her most vulnerable, most dishonest moment, betraying me in my own bed. I stayed frozen, stunned. My mind was racing. How long had this been going on? Were there other times? Was this just a one-night stand, or had it been happening for weeks? I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was right there. She was cheating on me, lying about her whereabouts, and acting like I was crazy for suspecting anything. When the recording finally stopped, I sat there trying to process what I just heard. My fists clenched, every ounce of anger boiling over. I realized I'd been a fool for trusting her. My wife, who I loved and tried to support, was out there, sneaking around with our best man in our bed while I was at work or at home, completely blind to it. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and so damn hurt I didn't know how I'd ever recover from this. The house suddenly felt cold, empty, like I'd been kicked out of my own life. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was going to do it with undeniable proof. The game was over, and I was ready to take my stand. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The recording still played in my mind on repeat. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how Amanda had betrayed me so thoroughly, so shamelessly. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was going in with everything. The proof was undeniable now. She couldn't deny it, no matter how much she tried to spin her lies. I waited until she was back from her book club, which I knew was just a cover. When she came home, she was her usual bitchy self, trying to act like everything was normal, but I saw the flicker of guilt behind her eyes. I was calm but cold, and I didn't hold back. "Amanda," I started, voice steady but with enough steel to make her freeze. "I have something to show you, and I want you to listen to every word." She looked at me, eyes narrowing, trying to figure out what I was about to do. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone, opened the recording, and pressed play. The room filled with the sounds of her and Mark, her moans, his voice, the unmistakable sound of sex. She froze, her face draining of color. Her eyes darted around, desperation creeping into her expression. "What the hell is this?" she hissed, trying to snatch the phone away, but I held firm. "You lied to me about your trip." "About everything," I said, voice trembling with rage. "You were screwing him in our bed, Amanda, our bed. While I was at work, probably thinking you were at some stupid meeting. How much more of a slap in the face do you want?" She started to curse, her voice rising. "You don't know what you're talking about. That's not what it sounds like. You're mistaken." Oh, I'm mistaken, really. I pressed on play again, making sure she heard every second of it. This is what you've been hiding from me. This is who you really are. You've been lying to my face, making me look like a damn fool. She broke down then, tears streaming, voice trembling. It's not what you think. Mark was just helping me with my business, okay? I swear I didn't want you to find out like this. I was going to tell you eventually. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I couldn't believe her, that she could sit there crying, trying to spin some bullshit about helping her business while she's cheating on me in our own bed. I felt my stomach turn. All the anger, all the hurt, it was bubbling over. I knew I'd reached a point where I couldn't forgive her, couldn't pretend this was just a mistake. I told her to leave, that I never wanted to see her again. She begged, pleaded, tried to justify her lies, but I was numb. How could she lie so easily? How could she betray me this way? My mind was racing, but there was no coming back from this. The trust I had was shattered beyond repair. I watched her pack a bag, her bitchy attitude replaced by pure venom, and I realized I'd just lost not only my wife but my best friend too. After she left, I stayed in that house alone, feeling like I'd been run over by a freight train. I kept replaying everything, the messages, the sex recordings, her lies. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind for so long. The house was dead silent except for my own thoughts echoing through my mind. I felt this crushing mix of rage, heartbreak, and shame all at once. I kept thinking about how she always called me paranoid, how she'd told me I was insecure for suspecting anything. She'd lied to my face so many times, spun her stories, and I had trusted her blindly. And now I was left with nothing but a pile of broken trust and a house that suddenly felt like a prison. I knew I had to make a decision. Do I try to fix this? Do I pretend it didn't happen and stay? Or do I cut my losses and walk away? Honestly, the idea of staying with her after everything made me sick. I realized I couldn't stay under the same roof, knowing what she'd done. It wasn't just about the sex, it was about the betrayal of everything we'd built together. I needed to get out, to get away from the poison she'd brought into my life. But first I had to do something. I needed to confront her one last time, not for her sake but for mine. I wanted her to know that I knew the truth, that I'd caught her. I wanted her to understand that her lies had consequences. I wasn't just some fool who got played. I was a man who refused to be a victim anymore. So I set a plan in motion. I called her, told her I'd meet her somewhere neutral, a coffee shop nearby. I wanted her to face me one last time, see the pain in my eyes, understand the depth of her betrayal. When she arrived, she looked furious, like she thought she could manipulate her way out of it, but I didn't care. I was done pretending. I pulled out the recording on my phone, played it loud and clear, and watched her face fall apart. Her bitchy facade crumbled, replaced with pure panic. "Did you really think you could lie and cheat your way through this?" I said, voice cold. "You're a damn liar, Amanda, and I don't want to see you anymore, ever. I'm done." She tried to argue, to make excuses, but I wasn't listening. I told her she could keep her money, her lies, her bullshit. I was walking away and never looking back. That moment, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with the worst pain I'd ever experienced. I finally saw her for what she was, a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. Walking away from her was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew I had to do it for myself. I had to rebuild from this mess, learn to trust again, and move on. I did know what the future held, but I knew I wouldn't be carrying her betrayal with me forever. I'd learned that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out the poison, and that's what I was going to do. In the days that followed, I felt like I was slowly piecing myself back together, even though every minute reminded me of what I had lost. The house was eerily silent without her. No more bitchy comments, no more lies, no more betrayal. I spent a lot of time alone, reflecting on everything, trying to understand how someone I once loved could turn into such a stranger. It hurt, but at the same time, there was a strange sense of relief. I was finally free from her grip, from the constant suspicion and the weight of her lies. I learned a lot through this whole ordeal. Trust is fragile, and it takes years to build but only seconds to destroy. Amanda's betrayal taught me that people aren't always who they appear to be, and sometimes their true selves only come out when it's too late. I also realized that revenge isn't about hurting someone just for the sake of it. It's about standing up for yourself, reclaiming your dignity, and refusing to be a victim. Now I'm slowly moving on. I've started seeing a counselor, working through all the pain, anger, and sadness. I don't have all the answers yet, but I do know one thing. I won't let her betrayal define me. I'll rebuild my life piece by piece and learn to trust again, carefully, slowly. The scars are still there, but they will fade with time. To anyone out there going through something similar, I'll say this. Trust your gut and don't ignore the signs. If someone is hiding things, lying, and making you feel crazy, listen to yourself. The pain of betrayal is brutal, but surviving it makes you stronger. Never settle for less than honesty and respect, and never be afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't deserve your love. As for me, I'm not perfect, and I'll carry this baggage for a while. But I'm determined to be better, to learn from this, and to never let anyone treat me like that again. The road ahead might be long, but I know now that I am capable of healing. And in the end, that's what matters most.